That may be the soldier who fired the deadly shot. The official autopsy shows a bullet went through his face.
July 8th, 2013. A young Egyptian photojournalist, Ahmed El Senussi, turned on his camera and started recording shakily. He was going to capture the sheer amount of violence around him. What he didn't know was that he was about to record his own death. Here are 6 journalists who captured their final moments.
こうした仏塔の前には皆さんこうして市民がですね集結しています。そうした中重装備した軍隊のトラックが到着しました。
September 27th, 2007. The streets of Yangon are packed with protesters. Monks in saffron robes, students, and ordinary citizens all demanding change. Kenji Nagai, a seasoned Japanese journalist, stands among them, his small Sony Handycam rolling as heavily armed soldiers arrive. He's not here on a tourist visa, as the government would later claim. He's here to document history in the making, fully aware of the risks that come with filming under a military regime that has ruled Myanmar with an iron fist for 45 years. Nagai, 50, is no stranger to dangerous assignments. His career has taken him from Afghanistan to other conflict zones, always with his camera as witness. But Myanmar's saffron revolution is different. The protests have been building for weeks, led by Buddhist monks who turn their bowls upside down in defiance of the military. The regime, caught off guard initially, has begun to crack down hard, raiding monasteries, beating monks, and using lethal force to crush dissent. The historic Seoul Pagoda area is tense. Nagai films himself reporting, "The army has arrived. Over there, that's the army. I think it's a heavily armed army. In front of the temple, it is filled with citizens. Citizens are gathering in front of the head of the Buddha. A heavily armed army truck has arrived." His words, calm but urgent, capture the gravity of the moment. This isn't Nagai's first close call. As a pioneer of one-person videography, what we now call a vlogger, he's accustomed to working alone, capturing raw, unfiltered stories where others fear to tread. Today, though, the atmosphere is electric with danger. Other journalists are filming from safer positions above the crowd, but Nagai chooses to stay in the thick of it. What happens next unfolds in seconds, but changes everything. As military trucks roll in and soldiers take positions, the crowd grows more anxious. Suddenly, shots rang out. Protesters scatter in panic. From the overhead footbridge, other reporters capture the fateful moment. A soldier pushes Nagai to the ground and fires at point-blank range.
This now famous picture shows how he fell right where he was filming, still holding his camera despite the fatal wound. Standing over him, a soldier with a gun.
The iconic image, captured by Reuters photographer Idris Latif, shows Nagai lying on his back, camera still raised, even as he draws his last breath. Even in death, Nagai's dedication to documenting the truth is evident. His body, when returned to Japan 10 days later, still clutches the camera that recorded his final moments. But the camera itself, vital evidence of what truly happened, disappears for 16 years. The official narrative from Myanmar's government is swift and predictable. They claim Nagai was killed by a stray bullet. State-controlled media blames him for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, conveniently ignoring the video evidence captured by other journalists showing a deliberate killing. They also point out that Nagai entered on a tourist visa, not a journalist visa, a technicality used to deflect blame. But the truth refuses to stay hidden.
Authorities in Myanmar maintain he was killed by a stray bullet, but Japanese media obtained footage showing him pushed to the ground and shot at point-blank range.
16 years later, in a remarkable twist, Nagai's camera resurfaces. The democratic voice of Burma manages to extract the original tape, preserving his last footage.
What I can tell you is we got it through a good citizen who knows what is right and what is wrong. And that's how we got it.
At a ceremony in Bangkok, his sister Noriko Ogawa receives the camera from Aye Chan Naing, head of the DVB. The footage is screened for the first time, showing Nagai's calm professionalism in the face of mounting danger. Noriko's presence at the handover is deeply symbolic. For years, she and her family have fought for justice and the truth about her brother's death. The camera's recovery is more than just closure. It's concrete evidence undermining the regime's narrative and showing the world exactly what happened on that fateful day. The footage shows protesters and monks gathered near Sule Pagoda just before the crackdown. Nagai's voice narrates the mounting tension as soldiers arrive, in stark contrast to the claim that he was just among protesters by accident. The video cuts seconds before the fatal shot, but what follows is documented by other cameras. Nagai, still holding his camera even as he's shot, becomes a symbol of journalistic courage and the price of truth-telling under repressive regimes. Sean Crispin from the Committee to Protect Journalists attends the Bangkok ceremony. His message is clear.
And the killings won't stop until Kenji's murder receives full justice. From the trigger man, from any commanders that day who gave shoot-to-kill orders, to the military leaders who orchestrated that day's lethal repression.
It's a call not just for justice, but for accountability at every level of the chain of command. The recovered footage also sparks renewed discussion about press freedom in Myanmar. Since the military coup of 2021, 3 more journalists have been killed and over 150 jailed. The pattern of violence against truth-tellers continues, with Nagai's death serving as both warning and inspiration. The camera's journey out of Myanmar remains shrouded in secrecy. Ai Chan Naing explains only that
a good citizen who knew what was right and what was wrong
helped get it out safely, emphasizing the risk still faced by those who challenge the regime. For Noriko and her family, the camera's return is bittersweet. It debunks the official story and provides concrete evidence of her brother's murder, but also reopens wounds that never healed. She hopes the footage will refocus international attention on Myanmar's ongoing crisis and the cost of reporting truth under tyranny. And the Saffron Revolution itself, though brutally suppressed, leaves a lasting impact. Many believe the mass protests and international attention they drew contributed to the military's brief democratic opening in 2011. But the lessons of what happens when journalists are silenced remain painfully relevant. Kenji Nagai's story isn't just about one journalist's sacrifice. It's about the ongoing struggle for truth in dark times. His camera, recovered after 16 years, now serves as both evidence and inspiration, a testament to the power of bearing witness and the price some pay for documenting history as it unfolds. But this is nothing compared to the story of the next journalist in Afghanistan, who captured the final moments of his life in a more brutal death in the hands of violence.
He was always ready to go anywhere, even if it was dangerous.
April 30th, 2018. Kabul was once again rocked by a suicide bombing. At the blast site, Shah Marai, AFP's chief photographer in Kabul, rushed headlong into the chaos, camera in hand, ready to document the aftermath. It was a city where danger was a constant companion, but this day would mark the end of his journey. Shah Marai wasn't just any photographer. Born in 1977, he'd spent over 2 decades capturing the heart and soul of Afghanistan through his lens. Starting as a driver for AFP in 1995, he picked up a camera 3 years later. From the terrifying days under Taliban rule to moments of fragile hope, Marai's work told the story of a nation caught in endless conflict. He was known not only for his skill, but for his deep love for his country. A love that kept him rooted in Kabul, even as so many fled. His photos captured everything: the pain of bombings, the laughter of children playing by dusty streets, the quiet resilience of ordinary people. He had an eye for moments others missed: a child peering cautiously around a corner, a woman snapping a photo from beneath her burqa, scenes that revealed Afghanistan's dual reality, violence and everyday life intertwined.
Could take pictures, very particular pictures of that moment, an unexpected moment of, for example, a woman taking a picture with a smartphone from under a burqa.
In the lead-up to April 30th, Kabul was tense. Suicide attacks had become a grim routine. Shah Marai often raced to the scenes, guided by a network of contacts and an uncanny sense of timing. His colleagues say he was always the first on the ground, quick to capture the raw truth before it faded. Even then, he knew the risks. In a 2016 blog post, he wrote about the fear that haunted him daily. The threat of a bomb, a hidden car, a crowd turning deadly. But he kept going. For his work, for his family, and for Afghanistan. That morning, Shah Marai arrived at the blast site near a voter registration center, one of many targets in a city struggling to hold on to fragile democracy. The explosion was devastating. People screamed, dust filled the air, and chaos erupted. Marai raised his camera and began shooting. But fate was cruel. As rescuers scrambled to help victims, a second suicide bomber struck nearby. In the confusion and carnage, Shah Marai was caught in the blast. Among 25 people killed in the twin bombings, including 8 journalists, he lost his life doing what he loved, telling the story of Afghanistan's struggle through his photographs. His death sent shockwaves through the world of journalism. For those who knew him, the loss was deeply personal. Despite the dangers, Shah Marai had chosen to stay in Kabul, driven by a duty to bear witness and a commitment to his family, his 6 children and wife whom he adored. His colleagues remember him as fearless but cautious, always weighing risks, but never backing down from a story. In the immediate aftermath, messages poured in from fellow journalists and international organizations. AFP's global news director spoke of Marai's courage and professionalism, calling him an institution in the Kabul bureau. His photographs, numbering over 18,000, remain a powerful record of Afghanistan's recent history, from political events to the daily lives of its people, from moments of war to fleeting signs of hope. But the cost was not just his own. His family was left to mourn a husband and father taken too soon, a man who balanced the dangers of his work with the needs of home. That day in Kabul, Shah Marai's final images froze, a moment of tragedy and courage. And though his camera fell silent, the story he told continues to speak volumes. Next, we'll meet another journalist whose final moments captured a shocking twist no one saw coming.
He was alone in the house without anybody.
Those tears are for her son. July 8, 2013, started like any other day for 26-year-old Ahmed El-Senussi. But this talented Egyptian photographer had a purpose, documenting the volatile protests erupting around Cairo. His life would be cut short before the sun set, but his final footage would leave an indelible mark on journalism. El-Senussi's passion for photography was matched only by his commitment to truth. His camera took him to the front lines of Egypt's political turmoil, chronicling the historic demonstrations that followed the military's removal of President Mohamed Morsi. As a photographer for the Muslim Brotherhood's Freedom and Justice newspaper, El-Senussi was no stranger to danger. But even he couldn't have predicted how this assignment would end. The day began with pro-Morsi supporters gathering outside the Republican Guard's headquarters. Tensions were already high after the military's crackdown on protesters, but El-Senussi moved among the crowd with his camera, capturing the raw emotion and tension, moments before violence erupted. His final photographs reveal the chaos that unfolded. In one haunting image, a man with a bloodied arm raises his fist amidst the turmoil, a stark reminder of the day's violence. But it was El-Senussi's own camera that would capture his last moments. The footage is raw and unedited, shaky from the chaos surrounding him. What happens next would become one of the most chilling moments ever caught on camera.
The official autopsy shows a bullet went through his face.
That ended his life instantly. But his camera didn't just capture his last moments, it documented the very forces that silenced him. His father, a doctor, was forced to confront the brutal reality of his son's death through the clinical details of the autopsy report.
El-Senussi's father is a doctor. He now finds himself reading his own son's preliminary autopsy.
It was a tragedy that rippled through his family, community, and the world of journalism. But El-Senussi's death was not just a personal loss. It was a direct attack on press freedom. His mother had warned him repeatedly about the dangers, begging him to be careful. But El-Senussi's response was always the same. If he died for the truth, he would welcome death. His commitment to documenting reality, no matter the cost, defined his life and career. The protests that day left at least 54 dead and more than 400 wounded, according to official reports. El-Senussi became one of dozens of journalists killed, covering Egypt's turmoil. But his death stood out for one chilling reason. He may have filmed his own execution. The footage from his camera became critical evidence, potentially identifying the sniper who fired the fatal shot. But the Egyptian military never responded to requests for comment. An official investigation stalled. El-Senussi may have sympathized with the Muslim Brotherhood. He was not a fanatic. His father opposed the group, leading to family arguments, but both agreed on the importance of documenting the truth. That commitment would ultimately cost El-Senussi his life. He knew the risks he faced every time he picked up his camera. In a prescient Facebook post weeks before his death, he warned fellow journalists to be careful.
Writing, "No picture is worth your life."
The aftermath of his death was felt far beyond his family. The Committee to Protect Journalists granted him honorary membership and ensured his family received a pension, but no amount of recognition could replace the son, brother, and friend lost to a sniper's bullet. El-Senussi's camera captured not just the violence of that day, but the broader struggle for truth in Egypt. But if you think El-Senussi's story is tragic, wait until you see what happened when another journalist tried to document the overthrowing of a Russian president's government in Moscow, one of the most dangerous places to be in 1993. October 3rd, 1993. Moscow's tension is at a breaking point. Hardliners have barricaded themselves inside the Ostankino Television Center, determined to overthrow President Yeltsin's new government. Outside, tanks rumble through the streets. Inside, Rory Peck, a British freelance cameraman, prepares his equipment, knowing he's about to capture history. But this assignment will be his last. Rory Peck wasn't just a cameraman. He was a witness to history, a man who thrived in chaos and believed in showing the world the unfiltered truth. His colleagues called him Edwardian, swashbuckling, swaggering, an idealist with a competitive edge, and a knack for being where the action was hottest. In the words of his close friend Vaughn Smith,
but Roy's real ability was to actually get the story.
Peck's approach to journalism was all about access. He didn't care about perfect shots or fancy equipment. He wanted the story, the raw reality. He was known for arriving without some vital piece of gear, his camera often handheld, tripod abandoned somewhere in the chaos. But he always got the footage that mattered. As Smith put it,
because he wasn't really interested in that. He was really only interested in getting the story and getting the access and being first and getting out with it. And he did that. He was so exceptional at that.
Peck's skill went beyond technical prowess. He was a master at making connections in the most dangerous places. Whether it was the bartender or the local militia leader, Rory knew how to build trust. His language skills and quick wit opened doors that were closed to most. It was this ability that got him unprecedented access to places like KGB headquarters and Mikhail Gorbachev's office, places most Western journalists could only dream of entering. But what truly set Peck apart was his courage. John Simpson, BBC's World Affairs editor, said it plainly: "Admiration for his extraordinary courage. I mean, just much greater than that of most other brave people." You could always tell Rory's footage. It was closer to the action, deeper in the danger zone than anyone else's. He thrived on being first, on capturing the moments others missed. The battle for Ostankino Television Center was the kind of assignment Rory Peck lived for. Communist hardliners had seized the building, determined to control the airwaves. Pro-Yeltsin forces surrounded the complex, preparing to take it by force. Journalists flooded the area, knowing this was a historic moment. But Peck, true to form, pushed closer than anyone else. As the assault began, tanks fired on the building. Gunfire erupted from every direction. Peck, camera rolling, documented the chaos from within the crossfire. His footage captures the raw terror of the moment. Flashes of muzzle fire, soldiers charging, civilians caught in the mayhem. In those final moments, Peck's instincts took over. He moved closer, capturing the reality of urban warfare as it unfolded around him. The noise was deafening. Shouts, explosions, the rattle of machine guns. But Peck focused on the story, documenting the fall of the hardliners' last stronghold. His footage from that day is haunting. Civilians caught in the crossfire, soldiers advancing through smoke-filled corridors, the chaos of urban combat, its raw, unfiltered history, the kind of journalism that comes with a heavy price. As the battle reached its peak, tragedy struck. Peck, caught in the crossfire between hardliner defenders and Yeltsin's special forces, was shot and killed. His camera fell silent, but the footage he captured would become some of the most important documentation of the October coup attempt. Colleagues remember his last days with a mix of admiration and heartbreak. Sonia Mikic, who worked closely with Peck, recalled how even in the face of danger, he focused on professionalism.
And all he fussed about wasn't the danger around, but rather, oh, Sonia, you really look scruffy, you have to do your hair like this, and you have to look beautiful when you do your piece to camera. And he bothered about my outer appearance rather than what was happening around us. And that was so typical. You know, he always wanted it to be the best.
Peck's death, along with 5 other journalists during the October coup, sent shockwaves through the media world. But his legacy was just beginning. Colleagues and friends established the Rory Peck Trust, dedicated to supporting freelance journalists working in dangerous environments. To this day, the Rory Peck Award honors those who demonstrate the same courage and dedication to truth that defined Peck's career. His story is more than just a tale of bravery. It's a testament to the power of journalism. Peck believed in witnessing history, in showing the world the truth, no matter the cost. His footage from Moscow remains a powerful reminder of the price paid for truth. Rory Peck's final moments were captured not just on film, but in the memories of those who knew him. But if you thought Peck's story was intense, the next case will take us even deeper into the dangers faced by journalists on the front lines. It shows what happens when reporting the truth becomes a battle for survival. April 8, 2003. Taras Protsyuk, a Ukrainian cameraman for Reuters, was capturing footage from the 15th floor balcony of Baghdad's Palestine Hotel, known as the base for the international press during the invasion of Iraq. Protsyuk wasn't just any cameraman. He had spent years covering some of the world's most dangerous conflicts, from Bosnia to Afghanistan. He was 41, married, and had an 8-year-old son waiting back home. That day, like many others, he was in the thick of it, filming the fierce battle unfolding around the nearby Jumhuriya Bridge. U.S. forces were pushing into Baghdad, tanks moving through the streets, but the Palestine Hotel stood distinct, a known safe haven where journalists from all over the world reported on the war. The Pentagon had those coordinates before the invasion, aware that hundreds of foreign media were housed there.
Some U.S. commanders on the ground had been aware of the presence of journalists in the hotel. A U.S. commander had been frantically trying to determine the exact location of the Palestine Hotel so that an airstrike he was about to call in would not harm journalists in the hotel.
And yet, despite this, a tragic sequence of events was about to unfold. Some U.S. commanders on the ground knew journalists were inside. One even tried to pinpoint the hotel's position to avoid striking it during an air attack, but communication dropped through the cracks. At noon, a U.S. tank crew spotted a figure on the hotel's upper floors.
The angle, they weren't sure that it was the Palestine. They knew someone was directing the fire. As they looked up into this high building, they saw a person with binoculars and a walkie-talkie. Every time they would change direction and move, the binoculars came down, the walkie-talkie came up.
The presence of the press was not clearly relayed to them. The tank unit fired a single 120mm round in response to what they perceived as hostile activity. What happened next was catastrophic. The shell struck the outside latticework on the 14th floor, ricocheting into the 15th floor balcony where Protsyuk was standing. Shrapnel tore through the area, fatally wounding him. Moments later, Spanish cameraman Jose Cuso, also on the balcony, was critically injured and would later die from his wounds. Journalists scrambled to help, chaos erupting as the gravity of the attack set in. The U.S. military later admitted they had mistaken the 2 journalists for Iraqi spotters. The attack was not intentional, but tragic and avoidable. The Committee to Protect Journalists launched an investigation and concluded the incident resulted from poor communication. Higher commanders knew the hotel was full of journalists, but failed to inform the tank unit on the ground. News organizations had given the Pentagon precise coordinates of the Palestine Hotel. Journalists wore clearly marked press vests, yet the internal military review remained classified, leaving many questions unanswered. Official statements claim the tank's response was proportionate and justifiably measured, but never explained why the knowledge of journalists' presence failed to reach the soldiers who fired. The aftermath hit hard. Taras Pratyuk was mourned by family and colleagues alike. His funeral, a solemn and powerful event, brought together a community shattered by loss. His death became a symbol of the dangers journalists face when reporting from war zones. The public mourning was both personal and political. Chants echoed through the streets. The coffin was carried high, draped in flags, honoring a life dedicated to revealing the truth, even in the deadliest places. The killing of Pratyuk and Kuso sent shockwaves through the global press. It stirred demands for accountability, but the full truth behind that fatal shell remained shrouded in secrecy. Pratyuk's story is not as brutal and shocking as the next one. In this next case, a journalist reports live from the ground, and tragedy hits. September 26, 2012. In the heart of Damascus, Maya Nasser, a correspondent for Iran's Press TV, was reporting near Umayyad Square when suddenly, sniper fire erupted. Chaos broke out instantly as journalists and civilians scrambled for cover amid the crackling gunfire. Maya Nasser was a seasoned journalist known for his work with Press TV, Iran's English-language news network. A political analyst and commentator based in Damascus, he was one of the few Western-speaking reporters covering the Syrian civil war from the government's perspective. Nasser often described himself as a normal citizen, caught in extraordinary times, someone deeply invested in Syria's future, but wary of the foreign fighters complicating the conflict. His social media reflected concern about militants and the damage they inflicted on his homeland. In the weeks leading up to that day, the Syrian capital was tense. Large explosions had rocked the area around the Army's General Staff headquarters at Umayyad Square. Armed militants and civilian cars were taking positions on rooftops, preparing to unleash a barrage of sniper fire. Maya and his Press TV team were there to cover the aftermath, risking their lives to document the violence firsthand. The turning point came in an instant. While Maya was delivering a live report from the rubble-strewn streets, a sniper's bullet struck him through the neck. His colleague, Hossein Mortada, Press TV's Damascus bureau chief, was wounded in the leg as well. The attack wasn't random. It was targeted. Maya was in the wrong place at the wrong time, caught in a deadly crossfire fueled by a brutal civil war and powerful foreign interests. What happened next unfolded rapidly. Mortada rushed to Maya's side, trying to shield him and provide aid amid the ongoing gunfire.
I got initial news that he was shot by armed groups in the neck and he was taken to the hospital and he was killed.
Press TV and LLM bureau chief Hossein Mortaza was also injured in the attack and taken to hospital.
But the wound was fatal. Maya's last words were captured on air, reporting calmly on the destruction even as his life slipped away.
The situation, has it calmed down or is it still taking place? Okay, we've lost Maya, but we're going to try to definitely get him back on the phone.
The news hit Press TV hard. The studio was filled with shock and grief as anchors struggled to maintain composure. Attempts to contact Maya failed, and moments later, confirmation came. He had been assassinated in the line of duty, silenced by a sniper's bullet. Press TV quickly pointed fingers at the militants they held responsible, the Free Syrian Army and their foreign backers. Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar were accused of supplying weapons to the insurgents, fueling the violence. The network's news director, Hamid Reza Emadi, condemned the killing as part of a deliberate campaign to intimidate journalists and suppress the truth. This deadly assault on the media followed a disturbing trend. By late 2012, more than 20 journalists had been killed covering Syria's civil war, many targeted while reporting from the front lines. The risks were mounting as militants deliberately sought to silence voices they opposed. The aftermath of Maya's death rippled beyond his immediate circle. Press TV vowed to pursue justice, refusing to let his killers go unpunished. Meanwhile, his colleagues and viewers bore witness to the harsh reality of reporting in a war zone where every story might be your last. Hossein Mortada survived and eventually recovered, but the loss weighed heavily on the team. From Beirut, Hezbollah's media chief Ibrahim Mousavi praised the reporting by Maya and Press TV, highlighting their role in exposing foreign interference and conspiracies behind the conflict. His comments underscored how Maya's work had crossed lines, not just on the battlefield, but in the geopolitical arena.